I made a huge mistake, and I've let my fans down. I've let the sport down that I've been playing since the age of 4 that I love so deeply.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 exact moments sports stars ruined their careers.
Wait a minute, here's a free foot, I don't believe it! The Eagles pick it up and Herman Edwards runs it in for a touchdown! An incredible development!
For this list, we'll be looking at precise moments when athletes' careers were in complete ruin. Do note that while some of these athletes did continue to achieve success in their respective sports even after these incidents, they likely won't ever be able to live them down. Number 10. Paul Daly. For a brief time, Paul Daly is one of UFC's biggest rising stars. With his lethal left hook and a brash and confident demeanor, Semtex was already making noise in a stacked welterweight division with knockouts over the likes of Martin Kampmann and Dustin Hazlett. However, the hype train was soon derailed in a bout against fellow welterweight contender Josh Koscheck at UFC 113. With his wrestling skills, Koscheck was able to dominate Daly and dictate the fight. Frustrated by how the night went and Koscheck's trash talk throughout the fight, Daly sucker punched him after the bell.
Daly punches Koscheck at the end of the fight, and look at Dan Miragliotta.
Immediately following the incident, UFC President Dana White announced that Paul Daly was banned from the UFC for life.
I don't give a shit if he's the best 170-pounder in the world. He'll never come back here again.
We're talking Paul Daly.
Yeah.
You're cutting him from the UFC.
Yeah. He'll never come back.
Daly continued his MMA career fighting in other organizations, but not making nearly as big of a name for himself as he did while he was in the UFC. Number 9. Meta Sandiford Artest.
And out of the corner of my eye, I see it coming.
Super slow-mo. Like it just, everybody was supposed to see it. That's how slow it went.
Bam.
Near the end of a 2004 game between the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons, Meta Sandiford Artest, formerly Ron Artest, fouled center Ben Wallace.
Oh, Wallace, right at Artest. This has potential to be serious if they don't get between.
Wallace didn't appreciate the gesture and let it be known by attempting to confront Artest. Players, referees, and coaches tried to defuse the situation, but it soon took a bizarre turn when Sandiford Artest decided to lie down on the scorer's table.
Went over and laid down, which is not normal. It's not normal to go lay down on the scorer's table.
Like, that's crazy too. You know, that's almost worse than the foul.
But all hell broke loose when a cup of beer was thrown directly at Sandiford Artest.
He'd have to walk past the Pacer bench to go. Now Artest has jumped over the scorer's table.
Upon being hit, he instantly ran to the stands, attacking the first person he could get his hands on. Chaos between fans and players ensued, and the event became known as the Malice at the Palace. Sandiford Artest was suspended a year, and although he later continued to excel as a defensive player and even went on to win a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, his career would never be the same. Number 8. Lance Armstrong.
Armstrong is coming with an incredible rush, and Cloden has realised it too late. Is there any stopping Lance Armstrong in this Tour de France? And the answer is no.
He was the biggest star in cycling until the truth came out. Throughout his career and many title-winning victories, Lance Armstrong constantly denied using performance-enhancing drugs. It was hard to root against Armstrong, a survivor of testicular cancer and founder of the Livestrong Foundation, but the growing amount of evidence became too much to ignore.
UCI will ban Lance Armstrong from cycling, and UCI will strip him of his 7 Tour de France titles. Lance Armstrong has no place in cycling.
Armstrong ultimately confessed to Oprah and the rest of the world in a live interview in 2013.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
Yes or no? Was one of those banned substances EPO?
Yes.
And with that confession, the beloved athlete who was once an inspiration to so many had tarnished his image. Number 7. Todd Bertuzzi.
Todd Bertuzzi after Steve Moore. Grabs his shoulder, having a little chat with him, grabs his sweater, gives him a whack, and piling on is Andre Nicolition, and everybody's into it. Now we get a line brawl.
Tensions were high when the Vancouver Canucks faced off against the Colorado Avalanche on March 8, 2004. The Canucks targeted Avs player Steve Moore for a questionable hit on their captain Marcus Naslund that went unpenalized the previous game. In the third period, Canucks forward Todd Bertuzzi sucker punched Moore and pushed him to the ice, and a bench-clearing brawl erupted. Moore was left seriously injured with 3 fractured vertebrae and a concussion. The injuries were so severe that Moore would never play again.
And he wanted to send him a message, but I don't think this is the message Bertuzzi wanted to send him.
Although Bertuzzi would return to the game after multiple court hearings, suspensions, and fines, any attempt at a comeback was simply out of reach.
Steve, I just want to apologize for what happened out there. That I had no intention on hurting you, and I feel awful for it.
His production decreased, he bounced around different teams and was constantly booed and heckled by opposing teams' fans. Things were never the same for Bertuzzi after this ugly incident. Number 6, Zinedine Zidane.
Well, there's what preceded it. Materazzi just put an arm round him. There was nothing more than an exchange of a few words. Well, what was said, that was ridiculous.
During the 2006 World Cup final match, Zizou was constantly jawing with Italian player Marco Materazzi. Eventually, the trash-talking came to a head, literally. After an exchange of words, Zidane proceeds to headbutt Materazzi's chest, knocking him to the ground. Zidane was subsequently handed a red card and sent off.
And Zinedine Zidane's career ends with being sent off in the World Cup final.
Italy would go on to win the game after outscoring France during the penalty shootout, where Zidane's presence and scoring ability was clearly missed. Although Zizou still had an illustrious career, it's this very incident that will forever be etched in our memories. This was probably the last way anybody expected the French team captain Zinedine Zidane to end his career.
You can't excuse that. Zidane's career ends in disgrace.
Number 5, Oscar Pistorius.
A disabled person running with able-bodied athletes on the biggest stage in the world. Incredible.
Oscar is really big in global terms.
Superstar Oscar Pistorius!
A once prominent South African athlete, Oscar Pistorius has competed in both the Paralympics and Olympics and won gold on several occasions. But just 5 months after the 2021 London Paralympics ended, Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. Pistorius claimed that he mistook Steenkamp for an intruder.
He's effectively admitting he shot an innocent person. That puts you in a tough spot legally. So I've got to believe that his best hope is for a lesser charge rather than an all-out not guilty verdict.
He was found guilty of culpable homicide and sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, a later case appeal overturned the original sentence and charged Pistorius with homicide, and his sentencing was later increased to 13. The conviction marked the end of Pistorius' prestigious career and destroyed his image as an inspiration to many.
The accused has punished himself and will punish himself for the rest of his life far more than any court of law can punish him.
Number 4, Aaron Hernandez.
When this day began, Aaron Hernandez was a New England Patriots tight end. Tonight he is the defendant in a murder case.
Aaron Hernandez once played tight end for the New England Patriots. However, his football career came to an abrupt end in 2013 when he was arrested for the shooting and death of Odin Lloyd. Lloyd was connected to Hernandez as he was dating the sister of Hernandez's fiancée.
Friends say the two men would often hang out, sometimes even talk football. But prosecutors say something went wrong, shifting their bond from cordial to fatal.
The motive behind the killing was never officially established, although some believe that Lloyd knew personal information that Hernandez wanted kept secret. Hernandez was also suffering from a neurodegenerative disease called CTE, and some believe that had something to do with it. Regardless, Hernandez was found guilty of homicide and sentenced to life in prison. The arrest not only led to the Patriots immediately releasing him, but his sentencing robbed him of any chance of making a comeback in the NFL. He tragically took his own life while in custody.
A sad and surprising twist in a once promising young life that went horribly awry.
Number 3, Ray Rice. Formerly one of the NFL's elite running backs and biggest stars, Ray Rice would lose it all in an instant when CCTV footage from an elevator showed him assaulting his then fiancée. The footage was only more disturbing when viewers saw what Rice did after he finished. Rice was suspended indefinitely and immediately cut by his former team, the Baltimore Ravens.
Her pain is my pain is her pain. But one thing that I wanted to do today was, apologize to my wife, who I've known since high school.
While he was later reinstated into the league, Rice never played another snap of football again. And the affair just became another chapter of the NFL's dark history dealing with violence amongst their ranks.
I went fully forward with it. I never complained or I never did anything like that. I took full responsibility for everything that I did.
Number 2, Tonya Harding. Before the 1994 U.S. Figure Skating Championships, figure skater Nancy Kerrigan was attacked by Shane Stant. He was contracted to injure her by Sean Eckhart, an associate of Jeff Gillooly, then husband of U.S. figure skater Tonya Harding.
Why?
The purpose? To ensure Kerrigan couldn't compete so that way Harding could claim gold at the championships and the Winter Olympics. Harding's involvement was eventually uncovered, and she was subsequently charged and banned from competing in figure skating for life.
You know, I mean, she's moved on. I've moved on. It's part of history that will always be with us. But I'm also noted as the one and only American woman that did the first triple axel.
No longer able to participate in the sport, she has since been a reality television star and has tried her hand in boxing.
Oh, a devastating blow from Tonya. She put 10 years of public shame into that punch.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Mark Sanchez. It was the beginning of the end for this quarterback the moment he hit those butt cheeks.
Tom Moore then in Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator. You got a busted play here, and then Sanchez gets hit. The ball is loose and it's alive. And then going into the end zone is Steve Gregory, who's had an interception, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown.
J.R. Smith. The decision to run out the clock made 0 sense, and it has haunted him since.
Hill misses. Rebound goes to the Cavs. J.R. Smith brings it back out. Throws it to Hill. Hill shot blocked. And we'll go to overtime.
Bill Buckner. The misplay by the Red Sox pitcher cost the team a World Series and saw Buckner receive death threats.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Antonio Brown. What better time to quit than in the middle of a game?
Antonio Brown, that's Antonio Brown without his uniform, we are told, without his jersey, and running onto the field. I don't know if that could have been a penalty.
Michael Vick. His involvement in dogfighting and his subsequent sentencing to jail spelled the end of his reign as the NFL's biggest star.
First, I want to apologize for all the things that I've done and that I've allowed to happen. So I will redeem myself. I have to.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was already seen as one of the wildest and most eccentric personalities in boxing. But nothing could prepare anyone for what was about to come during his rematch against Evander Holyfield in 1997. During the Sound and the Fury fight, Tyson didn't only bite his opponent's ear once, but twice.
It looked as if Tyson bared his teeth at one stage in the exchange.
Yes,
bit his ear.
He bit his ear. That's what Holyfield was in a lot of pain from that.
He was disqualified and later stated his actions were in response to Holyfield's unpenalized headbutting.
What am I to do? This is my career. I can't continue getting butted like that. I got children to raise, and this guy keeps butting me, trying to cut me and get me stopped on cut. I gotta retaliate.
Despite his accomplishments in the ring and the ferocious style which made him a household name in the sport of boxing, the ear bite would taint his career. Although he doesn't think so.
I never even think about it. Know what I think about when it does come? I think about how much money I made taking pictures of fighting somebody's ear. That it supersedes the $3 million that I lost.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?